We're slow travelers who spend a month or two in each destination and then it's on to the next. And every time we land in a new city, we need to make it our home. And this month, we're making our home in Belgrade, Serbia.
We love being full-time travelers. We love the excitement of landing someplace new. We love exploring new sites and getting to know the culture and the people and the food.
But we also want to feel at home no matter where we are in the world. Just because we're traveling, it doesn't mean that we want our lives to be in a constant state of upheaval. So after a day exploring a new city, we want to go home and be somewhere that feels comfortable.
That might seem a little impossible since we're in a new city and a new Airbnb every month. We need to get to know another neighborhood and shop in different stores, but we found that with a little effort, you can get settled in and make any city feel like home from the very first day.
And that's actually what we're doing today. So we've just landed. We're in the city of Belgrade. We had a very lengthy overnight flight from Canada. We've never been to Serbia before. We don't know anything really about the country or the city or the culture, and certainly not the language. And that's really what makes it all so exciting.
So it's time for us to get to know our local area and get set up for the month. And we're bringing you guys along as we give ourselves a crash course on living in Belgrade.
But first, a big hello from Serbia. So if you're new around here, I'm Stephanie, this is Gillian. We retired early to travel full time. And if you're looking for more, we've got a new video every Sunday.
So we were actually a little unsure about spending a month in Belgrade because, like many people, our impressions of Belgrade and Serbia in general were left over from the conflict in the 90s. Now, we've heard that Belgrade is a very dynamic and vibrant city, but we've also heard it can be a little run down in some neighborhoods.
So we were wondering if Belgrade was going to be maybe a little too gritty and a little too urban for us. Would we feel safe? Would we feel comfortable? Is this a place that we would actually want to call home for a month?
So when we decided to come, the first thing that we needed to think about was location. What part of the city would we want to stay in? Now, we usually like to be in a central location within walking distance to cafes, shops, and all the major sites. But at the same time, we don't want to feel like we're smack in the middle of a tourist attraction. So it's a fine balance.
So this is day one in our new neighborhood in the historic center of Belgrade. This area has some of the oldest streets in the city. It's close to great views, the river, lots of dining, and the park that has the Belgrade Fortress. So we're taking a look around for the very first time, and it's really very charming. We're seeing a mix of old and then slightly newer buildings. The streets are cobblestone, there are lots of trees. It's actually really pleasant.
So that's our neighborhood, but what about our Airbnb? Since we're going to be living here for a whole month, we'd ideally like it to be just as comfortable as if we were in our own home. But that's a pretty high standard, so we do need to be flexible about the details. Generally, we look for lots of windows, we like it to be stylish, but fairly minimal, definitely free of clutter. That's something we've become more and more picky about after spending too many hours decluttering our apartments just to make room for our own stuff.
So we love cooking, so we also look for a very well-equipped kitchen, ideally with a dishwasher, although we can be flexible on that point. And we really prefer to have a washing machine, and especially in weather like this, so it's 30 degrees Celsius or 85 Fahrenheit here in Belgrade, we need an air conditioner. So we usually can't get every single thing that we want in an Airbnb, so let's go upstairs and see how we did with this place. Let's start with what we did get with this place. So it's really light and bright, very stylishly put together. It's a compact space. Actually, it's the smallest place we've ever stayed in, but very well designed. We really love all the windows and the artwork on the walls, but we are missing a few very important things. Most notably, the kitchen is really, really tiny. There is a little shelf for chopping, but basically this is just a super small space. It's really not conducive for two full-size people who really enjoy cooking. Also, there's no dishwasher, and we can get by with no dishwasher, as we've mentioned, but there is another really important appliance missing, and that's the washing machine. Although the host did let us know that there's a laundromat just around the corner. Also, there is hardly any storage space at all. There's a little drawer here, and a little drawer here, and here, and here. And that's all the storage there is.
So clearly we did compromise on a few things with this apartment, but as we said, we often have to be flexible on some points to get the place that really suits us. For this place, we really like the feeling inside, and the location just can't be beat. Even more importantly, we found it had really amazing reviews from the other guests, and the host was extremely responsive. But I think what really tipped us over was the discount she gave us off her usual monthly rate. You can check out the price we paid in our cost of living video that will come out in just a few weeks.
Getting set up on day one in a new location is definitely a lot of work. Fortunately, we do have some tools to help us out. So first, when we're trying to find the right location in a city that we want to stay in, we really depend on Google Maps. In fact, Gillian usually does a very detailed and in-depth map study for potential neighborhoods. She literally walks through the streets using Street View, but this is really only for the truly committed.
Once we're here, the other tool that's very helpful is Google Translate. And where we use it the most is grocery shopping. We use it to scan labels and try to figure out what the heck we're buying. Now, it doesn't always work perfectly. One time when trying to buy butter, I ended up with margarine, and another time it turned out to be yeast, but it's generally pretty useful. So one of the things that we always do when we land in a new city is go grocery shopping. So we've come down the block to this grocery store, so let's take a look inside and see how easy or difficult it's going to be to get our groceries. So this store is pretty typical of what I've seen in nearby countries like Croatia and Greece. There's a decent range of packaged goods, although the selection of produce and meat is pretty limited. And I think that's because most locals would go to a farmer's market for those things. And that's what we'll be doing too, but this will be perfect to get us stocked up with some basics. Now, choosing those basics can be a bit tricky. Cheese, for example, there was a fridge full of feta-looking cheeses at a wide range of price points, but I couldn't really tell the difference. And since they aren't all from Serbia, there was so many different languages, my translation app wasn't all that helpful. In the end, I'm just gonna grab something and give it a try.
Of course, another important part of settling into a new city is finding great restaurants right in our neighborhood. So as you can see, we've done pretty well on this point. There are lots of restaurants just minutes away.
And that's what day one looks like. We're all set up in our apartment and our neighborhood. We've got everything we need to feel at home, and we're ready to explore Belgrade over the next month. And yes, the city is a little rough around the edges once you wander out from the center, but it also has a lot of charm and it's very vibrant.
As you saw, it's not always easy to make a home in a new place, especially when you're moving every month. And that's what makes it even more important to be very flexible and open-minded. So yeah, our apartment might be lacking a dishwasher, but we're in Serbia. It's a country we've never been to before, and of course not everything is going to be exactly like it is at home. And that's actually what makes the adventure fun.
Of course, it's still useful to have a list of must-haves and nice-to-haves when you pick your Airbnb. After living in so many places over the past couple of years, we've come up with a pretty good checklist of what makes us happy. So if you want to see our list of essentials for our Airbnbs, you can check out the next video right here.